Okay.
Intro.
Yeah.
Now the Spirit of the Lord is the one that speaks through me. Before my mother's womb, He ordained and knew me, ransomed me, and placed His words upon my tongue. Few are chosen, rest assured that I am one, an ambassador for Christ, His beloved Son. And by His word, let souls be one. So welcome everyone to this listening party. Sit back and let your souls be hearty. Celebrate with me the gift that God has imparted. And what better way to get this party started than to give Him the stage, because He knows where your heart is. Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. Give me the boldness to look upon each face and speak every word that you've given me to say. With no fear, I speak truth. I won't deviate, and I'm confident that all will go great. So let your presence saturate this place. I breathe in your spirit, I intake a river full of life, watering every dry place as I flow to the notes that heaven navigates. Let it bless every listener and free them today. Let the truth of your word draw souls to be saved. Let the comforter comfort hearts today, and let the light of your word show them the way. Every time I write, I tell His story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. He opens up to me and shows me His glory. He gives me the strength to keep on soaring, and when I open up my mouth, for Him I'm roaring, and the Spirit of the Lord goes before me. To the captive set free, that's reassuring. Over the years He strengthened my inner core, and every day I wake up just seeking Him more. Am I ready for this? In my spirit I'm sure I am in Christ, and my Father I adore. He redeemed me from destruction, I am His ambassador. As the world turns and open up the door, I step in with purpose to win souls for the Lord. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of His word before me. Every time I write, I tell the story as I bask in the truth of His word before me.
Hey, welcome to Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, the fastest growing show in the world. It's Monday, April 7th, this week in sports. Like I said, and this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, LOVE, love sports and the Word of God on the Tom the Bomb Show. And yes, we are live on Facebook. Our contact number here is 301 655 9992. And you can catch all of the replays immediately following the live show on YouTube. Okay. On YouTube, just put in the search bar Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, and it comes right on. What's up?
Echo background.
Okay. You can also contact us at email at info@tomthebombsports.com. And of course, you can always visit our website at tomthebombsports.com. Hey, gang, I'd like to personally thank you all for your prayers and support. We hear you loud and clear. For everyone that have reached out wanting to contribute to the show and our ministry, we sincerely thank you. With that, we appreciate your patronage. You can bless us to keep creating interesting content and spreading the word of God. Our business cash app is hashtag $Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. We sincerely thank you, and may God bless you 100-fold return on the seed that you sow into our ministry at Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. As usual, we want to start off by thanking God for all the wonderful things He's already done for us in 2025. It's truly, truly been blessed. And of course, as you guys know, our theme for 2025 is living in the grace realm. Our foundational scriptures for 2025 is found in 2 Corinthians 9 and 8. Of course, it says, and yes, God is more than ready to overwhelm you with every form of grace so that you will have more than enough of everything. Check this out. in every moment and in every way. He will make you overflow with abundance in every good thing you do. Amen. All right, you ready, Laurie? Okay, our trivia question. We got trivia and poll questions there. Our trivia question today is in honor of the men's Final Four. Our question is, what school has the most tournament wins all time? What school has the most tournament wins of all time? We're going to get back to that at the end of the show. I know Lori's going to remind me so we don't forget. Okay, so that's our poll. That's our trivia question for today. Now, our poll question today is, and to me, I always felt like this is how you figure out who the GOAT is. Who's taking the final shot? Who are you going to let take the final shot? Okay, here are the guys you got to choose from. You got Magic Johnson, okay? We got MJ, Michael Jordan. We got Larry Bird. Think about this. Now, this is the last shot in the game. You know, you got a few seconds. Who do you want taking that last shot? Is it Magic Johnson? Is it Michael Jordan? Is it Larry Bird? How about Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant's a bucket waiting to happen. And then we got to include LeBron James. How about LeBron James? How many of you guys think that LeBron James should be taking that last shot? After LeBron, we got Kobe Bryant, the Black Mamba. What do you guys think about Kobe taking that last shot? Then we've got Dollar Dame, Damian Lillard taking the last shot. How about Reggie Miller? Reggie Miller was a flat out killer, okay? And then we got, I'm being facetious here, Nat Wood's favorite player. How about Steph Curry? You guys want Steph Curry to take your last shot? How about, you know, we always kind of suffer from recency biases. Anytime you start talking about great players, how about Jerry West? Has there ever been anybody more clutch than Jerry West? The logo? Come on, man. This guy's still the logo of the NBA. How about Jerry West? How about Ray Allen? Ray Allen, one of the top three-point shooters of all time. And then rounding out our list is AI, Allen Iverson. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of that list? Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Damian Lillard, Reggie Miller, Steph Curry, Jerry West, Ray Allen, and Allen Iverson. So what do you guys think? Hey, chime in on Facebook, YouTube, put in the thing. We want to know what you guys think. Who do you guys want taking the last shot? And, you know, like I've said in the past, to me, you know, this is how you really settle the GOAT question. You know, if just in this instance, if Michael Jordan in his prime and LeBron James in his prime, and they're both playing on the exact same team, and there's 5 or 6 seconds left in the game, and you got the ball at inbound, and you want somebody to take that last shot, is that going to be LeBron James, or is that going to be Michael Jordan? Or is it going to be Allen Iverson? Or is it going to be Ray Allen? How about the logo? Jerry West, Steph Curry, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Reggie Miller, Damian Lillard. Who's taking that last shot for you? The answer to that question should get you closer to the GOAT, but it is different, you know, because just because a guy can get you a bucket, that doesn't mean he's the GOAT either. But you know, it's interesting fodder because we're gonna have fun on the show today. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, as well as all the stuff that you guys know are coming with the men's and women's now national championship. We got the Masters coming up, man. We got the great one, and I'm not talking about Wayne Gretzky. We're talking about Ovi Felix. We're going to be talking to Ovi today. So, so let's get it. We've got a fantastic show for you today. And let's start off, like I said, we're going to have some fun today. So let's start off with some, what I want to call just some very interesting sports information, some very interesting sports information, you know, because, you know, the theme of the Tom the Bomb show is, do you want to win at all costs? You know, because sometimes you win and you lose, and sometimes you lose and you win. So how we win in life truly matters. So let's just let's have some fun with it, with some very interesting sports information. All right, let's get it. Let's start off with number one. Coach Prime, Deion Sanders' Colorado football team has made history as the entire team achieved a 3.0 GPA. Listen, man, that's That's really what it's all about. There's a commercial, if you guys have been watching the NCAA all this week with all the games with the men's and the women, there's a commercial that they run that I really like. And it says something, and don't quote me on the numbers, but it says something like, we have 1 million athletes. They're all turning professional, but it's not going to be in sports. They're going to be a professional something. They're going to be a professional doctor or a lawyer or a carpenter or an electrician or a plumber. But all of them aren't going to the NBA. All of them aren't going to the NFL. All of them aren't going to the WNBA. All of them aren't going to Major League Baseball. But they are going to be a professional in something. And Coach Prime, whole Colorado football team, we're talking about over 100 guys. The whole team has they've achieved a GPA of 3.0 or higher. Now that's a B average on your grade point average. And Heisman Trophy winner, he's a 4.0. Travis is a 4.0 GPA. So congratulations to Coach Deion Sanders, man. He has a lot of haters out there, man. But man, Deion is doing some really good things, man. And look, man, here's the thing, man. Everybody ain't gonna be happy for you, when you find success. They just aren't, But your job is, when your ship comes in, you got to make sure you're not at the airport. Okay, that's all I'm saying. When your ship comes in, you need to be at the dock, not at the airport. Let's move on to some more fun stuff. We have the NFC East has returned to the NFC Beast, and now has all black quarterbacks starting with JD5 in Washington, Dak Prescott in Dallas. I think Russ going to be the man in New York, and who's in Philadelphia?
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. I don't know what's going on. I'm having a brain fart with Jalen Hurts, man. But this is something, because this is something in sports that we've been talking about 30, 40. I know I've been talking about it for 30 or 40 years, and I always said this, that we aren't going to have black quarterbacks in the NFL until we start having black quarterbacks at Alabama and Tennessee and Ole Miss and LSU and Clemson, and sure enough, as soon as we start getting the black quarterbacks at the top collegiate position, come on, man, college is the feeder system for the NFL. So until we can get a starting black quarterback at Alabama, you're not going to have a starting quarterback in the NFL. It's just not going to happen, because there has to be a change, and it has to start there. And if you just pay attention to sports, it's already happened in the Little League, and then it goes from a Little League to junior high, and then it goes from junior high to high school, and then the next progression is for the black quarterback to go from junior high school to college. And like I said, for 30 or 40 years, until we see black quarterbacks at Alabama and USC and UCLA and Illinois and University of Maryland, until we start seeing black quarterbacks there, we aren't going to see them in the NFL. Now, bam, here we are in 2025, the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys have a black starting quarterback. The Washington Commanders have a black starting quarterback. The Philadelphia Eagles have a black starting quarterback, and the New York Giants have a black starting quarterback. So, hey, man, it's about time. It's just about time. Hey, moving on with some more interesting sports stuff. Now, this is kind of eerie. Now, we guys, if you're old enough, you actually remember the game where we watched, where Lawrence Taylor broke Joe Theismann's leg on a Monday Night Football game. Well, this is kind of very eerie. If you can bring that up for me, Laura. Here we go. And if you guys can see this side-by-side illustration of Joe Theismann and Alex Smith, okay? Now, both Joe Theismann and Alex Smith, they both broke their right tibia and fibula, both of them. They both did it on November 18th. Joe Theismann, November 18th, 1985. Alex Smith, November 18th, 2018. Both of them were playing at that time. They both were playing for the Washington Redskins. They weren't the Commanders. They both played for the Washington Redskins at the time. Okay. The location happened in Washington, D.C. Check this out. The injury happened to Joe Theismann on the 39-yard line. The injury happened to Alex Smith on the 39-yard line. The final score of the game with the Giants and Washington with Joe Theismann was 23-21. The final score for Alex Smith's game was 23-21. The person who broke Joe Theismann's leg was three-time Defensive Player of the Year Lawrence Taylor. The person who broke Alex Smith's leg was three-time Defensive Player of the Year J.J. Watt. LTJJ. Now, check this out. It gets even deeper. The reason this play happened was because when Joe Theismann went down, his Pro Bowl left tackle, Joe Jacoby, he was off the field because he had got injured. So his left tackle wasn't there. We talk about the blind side, how important that left tackle is, right? Well, guess what? When Alex Smith got hurt, his Pro Bowl left tackle, Trent Williams, was off the field due to injury. You guys hear some Twilight Zone music going on. This is getting really, really eerie, man. So this is just amazing how the symmetry between Joe Theismann and Alex Smith, how this injury, they had the exact same injury on the exact same day, in the exact same place, on the exact same yard line by 2-3 defensive players of the year, and they got sacked like that because their all-pro left tackle had got injured and was out of the game. Man, woo, this is Twilight stuff there. Look, I tell you, man, we having fun today. Just some interesting sports stuff. Now, let's move on because for a while we've been in the NBA, we've been talking about death of the mid-range jumper in the NBA. And this, I wanted to bring this up because this stat, this might be the most crazy stat that I ever seen in any kind of sport. If you guys could, Tom the Bomb's a Golden State Warrior fan, and I didn't read the Golden State Warriors guard, Sean Livingston, is one of the last great NBA mid-range jump shooters. Might be the best ever. And if you look at the stats, it might put. Listen to this. This is unbelievable. Sean Livingston, in his whole career, took 1,309 mid-range jumpers. Guess how many he made? 1,309 made. He shot 1,300 mid-range jumpers. He made 1,309 mid-range jumpers. He never missed a mid-range jumper. So the only time Sean Livingston ever missed a shot in his whole NBA career is if he was shooting a layup, a free throw, or a three-point shot. But if he was inside the arc and he wasn't on the free throw line and he wasn't shooting the layup, he was Mr. Automatic. So we could conceivably say that Sean Livingston is the greatest mid-range jump shooter, not just in the NBA, but probably who ever lived. And there's been some great mid-range jumpers. Mid-range jumpers have become a lost art, not just in the NBA, but in college and high school. I remember just in the Elite Eight, I couldn't believe that the team wouldn't take that mid-range jump shot. It was just crazy. But come on, man, think about that. Is that the craziest stat that you've ever seen in your life? I take 1,309 shots and I make 1,309 shots. The only thing that even comes close to that is Stan Musial, the great St. Louis Cardinal Hall of Famer, Stan Musial. Stan Musial had over 3,600 hits in his whole career. He had 1,800 on the road, and he had 1,800 at road, and it added up to the exact amount of it. He got the same amount of hits on the road that he got at home. So this guy, it didn't matter where he was, he hit. That's the only other stat that even comes close to this. But this Sean Livingston stat, that even blows up. Is that incredible? Can you guys believe that? How could you take that many shots in a game and never miss? And Sean Livingston didn't even start for the Golden State Warriors team. But but if you remember when he came in, he was pumping it in as soon as he hit the floor, like Vinny the Microwave did for my bad boy Detroit Pistons. But hey, just some interesting stuff. 1,309 mid-range jumpers made. 1,309 mid-range jumpers took. Like I said, this might be the most incredible stat in sports history of all time. Hey, gang, we lost another giant, another man of God in the sports world. Heavyweight champion Joe Foreman passed away. Uh, he lived from 1949 to 2025. He's got a movie out that Lauren and I went to see a while back and showed the big George Foreman. It's really, really a interesting movie. It covers his life. He was a very, very interesting guy. But like I said, sometimes you win and you lose, and sometimes you lose and you win. And I think George Foreman's life is a perfect example of that. Is that once he found the Lord, he was just so it was like they couldn't believe that he was giving up fighting to serve the Lord. And something my mother always told me, if you really, really love the Lord, you'll serve him. And if you don't want to serve him, then you don't really love him. It's that simple. So we want to, from the Tom the Bomb Show, we want to give our well wishes to the Foreman family. Great heavyweight champion, great businessman, great marketer, Mr. George Foreman, 1949 to 2025. All righty. Okay, so let's start off with the NCAA Final Four first. Let's start off with the first game. Let's start off with Florida against Auburn. Listen, Florida edged Auburn 79-73 in the Final Four to advance to the NCAA title game. I told you guys and gals that the NCAA tournament was a guards game. I told you it was a guards game. And Walter Clayton Jr. is having an NCAA tournament for the ages. Florida now just needs him to deliver one more time Monday night when they take on the Houston Cougars in the title game. Clayton Jr. scored 34 points, knocking down 5 3-pointers, giving him the first consecutive 30-point games this deep in the NCAA tournament since a guy by the name of, what's his name? Larry Bird. How about that? The Gators are going to the national championship game for the first time since their back-to-back titles in 2006 and 2007. Clayton was the difference. He was just flat out the difference, Auburn coach Bruce Pearl said. We couldn't contain him. We couldn't contain him down that end. He's poised, he's calm, he's collected, he's confident in himself. The Gators are 35-4. The Gators are 35-4, and they got this far only after Walton Clayton Jr. rallied them twice in this tournament. He scored 13 of his 23 points in the final 8 minutes in a 77-75 win in the second round that ended UConn's pursuit of a third national title in a row. You remember when UConn's coach came off the bench cussing us up. Then they had 2 late threes last Sunday when they came from 9 points down with less than 3 minutes left to beat Texas Tech. Clayton Jr., he's a basket waiting to happen. He's the most clutch player in the tournament and should be the MOP, most outstanding player, whether Florida wins or loses to Houston Monday night. After a record 14 SEC teams made the NCAA tournament, 7 got to the Sweet 16 before the league made up half of the Elite 8 and then put 2 of the 4 Final Four teams into the Final Four from the SEC. Florida has a chance to win the SEC's first title since Anthony Davis' Kentucky team of 2012. Auburn had the Gators on their heels in the first half, but Florida opened the second half with a 13-3 run. Like I told you, that Florida was a home run hitting team. And then Florida had a big spurt of 11 consecutive points. There was 15 lead changes and 10 ties. See, here's the deal, man. Your stars have to be big and play like stars. Janai Broome had 15 points at halftime, and he finished the game with 15 points. I know he got injured in the game before with his elbow, but he said it didn't really affect him in the game. Coach Roy Williams, who also coached Michael Jordan, by the way, said Walter Clayton Jr. is the real deal. He's the guard in the tournament. I thought Auburn did a good job of playing defense against Clayton Jr. They forced him to take off balance shots. His shots were highly contested, and they were a high degree of difficulty, but Clayton just made them. He made them. Clayton just willed the Gators to a national championship game. This kid is really, really cool under pressure. Let's move to another subject that we got to talk about this. Look, listen to this. Calls are mounting for the NCAA to investigate the Florida versus Auburn Final Four officiating crew. It was horrible. Listen, I'm serious now. What's sad is that the game itself was an electric showdown on Saturday night. However, with high stakes game comes high expectations. And unfortunately, the officiating crew didn't meet those standards in the first semifinal game in San Antonio. The officials for the game were Robert Ayers, Tony Padilla, and Courtney Green. Now, let me stop you right there, because anytime you know a referee or an official's name, that's a bad sign. Don Dinkinger, I rest my case, Counselor. For all my St. Louis Cardinal baseball fans out there, we know who Don Dinkinger is, okay? Anytime you know the ref's name, not a good deal. When referees do their job properly, you don't even know they're there. You don't even notice them. When that happens, that's been a well refereed or officiated game. But hey, Robert Ayers, Tony Padilla, and Courtney Green, I had a conversation with my brother Gus, who's an official, and he was giving me all this technical stuff, and you know, just wrong, man. You're just wrong. I'm sorry. We have to agree to disagree. Now, while the first half was officiated reasonably, well, the second half quickly became marred by a series of questionable calls, particularly those affecting Florida. Watching the game with no horse in the race, because my teams was Illinois and Maryland, so I'm out. Okay, so the controversy began with Florida forward Thomas Howell appeared to make a clean block on Janai Broome, but the officials called a foul. A few plays later, Broome made a blatant slap on the Gators guard Will Richard, causing him to fall. Yet the officials ruled it a travel. To cap that off, the questionable officiating, Florida coach Todd Golden challenged a clear grab and hold on Howe underneath the basket. After the review, the officials deemed the contact non-excessive, resulting in a lost challenge and a 30-second timeout for the Gators. Now, despite it being a clear foul, that Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder blew their whistle on that play. I'm just telling you, okay? The Final Four now through the tournament. Now, Florida was the team with the brunt of the calls going against them, and yet they still won. Here's the problem. Yes, Florida still won, but what about the point spread? See, if I can just take you back to the NFL playoff game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans, with the game clearly over, no way the Chiefs could lose, and they take a safety with seconds left in the game, with the only purpose being protecting the point spread. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in sports. So why are these games that mean so much being officiated like the Florida Auburn game? I'll tell you, legalized gambling. The money is so big that these leagues have sold out for the big bucks. And that's okay. That's okay, because it's an entertainment business. Their job is to make money, and as much as they can. But like I keep saying over and over and over, like a broken record, stop betting on these games. All it takes is a whistle here, a non-call there, and this is it. Auburn brutalized. And when it's on the line, look, Walter Clayton Jr. did, Janai Broome and Cooper Flagg didn't. Now, I don't blame Cooper Flagg at all. I'm just pointing out how Duke, as a team, failed to get their big gun the ball doing, come on. I thought that was Bush. But hey, it was a foul, but it was a weak call. And at a critical time of the game, you got to let them guys play that one out. Houston was extraordinary in the way they did not fold under the pressure. Tonight's game, let's get to tonight's game. Florida versus Houston, or should I say Walter Clayton Jr. versus the Houston Cougars defense. Clayton has seen everything thrown at him. Bruce Pearl switched big wings Kelly and Baker Mazar on Clayton. They tried to blitz Clayton off the ball screen so that he couldn't get a clean look going to his left. Where he's lethal, by the way, going to his left. But none of that mattered, okay? But he hasn't seen Houston's defense yet. Will Walter Clayton Jr. be able to deal with Houston's physicality? Can he still generate consistent looks on the other side? It'll be interesting to see if Houston offers any wrinkles to slow down Clayton Jr. Now, as good as the Cougars' defense is, Houston will let teams shoot the three-pointer. And that's not a good idea against Walter Clayton Jr. Clayton was an under-recruited prospect from Florida who Rick Pitino found and signed when he was the coach at Iona. Clayton evolved into an All-American at Florida, and if he can get one more win under his belt, he'll join a stellar list of NCAA heroes who put their team on his back and carried them to the championship. If Houston's Kelvin Sampson can win, he'll be the oldest coach at age 70 to win a national championship. If Florida Todd Golden wins, he'll be the second youngest coach with a national championship. One of these two is going to make history tonight. The 35-4 Gators take on the 35-4 Cougars tonight at 8:50 p.m. Eastern on CBS. For the 11th time, two number one seeds will face off for the national title. Houston brings the number one defense into the game, allowing only 58 points per game with their Jay Cryer and Milo Uzan. Now, while Florida has the best guard in the game in Clayton Jr., it's going to take a group effort to contain him. The Gators have great depth and rank fifth in offensive rebounding. The team that wins the battle in the paint should cut down the nets. Tom the Bomb is sticking with my pick from day one, and that's the Florida Gators. Florida Gators pick up their...
Window Nation is on the Morgan's home turf to huddle up about replacing their drafty old windows.
This free estimate is showing how easy it is to tackle the problem.
We can get any of these windows custom made.
Yes, you can get the quality and style you really want.
And at a more affordable price than they ever imagined.
Now that they've sealed the deal, they'll be saving money year-round.
We're really confident with Window Nation.
Get your free estimate today and get 60% off all windows plus no interest or payments for 24 months at GetWindowNation.com.
Sheltered by the Sea of Cortez, Danzante Bay is a pure and peaceful oasis, an uncrowded retreat where your options are as vast as your views. If you're seeking a vacation that defines luxury and the true relaxation, look no further than Villa del Palmar at the islands of Loreto. A splendor of true Mexican hospitality effortlessly blends with rich materials and insatiable comforts to bring guests the ideal home away from home experience. With its quiet beaches, scenic vistas, rich history, and an astounding surrounding natural habitat, you'll feel as though you've been swept off to paradise. Not to be outdone, Reese Jones has crafted TPC Danzante Bay, a brilliant, multi-themed 18-hole golf course that runs over and through valleys, arroyos, dunes, and foothills. From every angle, striking images of the islands of Loreto and the surrounding mountain range take your breath away, while the challenging yet rewarding Baja golf course beckons you to return for more. It is an honor and my pleasure to welcome you to the world's most beautiful sunset and so much more.
Alrighty, and we're back. Hey, listen, the Yukon Huskies defeated the South Carolina Gamecocks to win the NCAA women's basketball national title 82-59 to win its 12th national title. The Huskies dominated the Gamecocks, who were looking for their second straight championship and third in 4 years, but they were denied by the Huskies. UConn was led by local talent and St. John's High School graduate AZ Fudd and freshman forward Sarah Strong, who combined to score 48 points on 19 of 32 shooting. Player of the Year Paige Beckers, a presumptive number one overall pick in the upcoming WNBA draft, scored 17 points in her final college basketball game. Connecticut's offense has been heralded all year long, but it was their stifling defense that frustrated the South Carolina Gamecocks. I've never seen a Dawn Staley team look so out of control. UConn's defense created chaos to South Carolina's offensive scheme. I was astonished at how UConn dominated every aspect of the game. Paige Beckers is the player of the year, but it was AZ Fudd through the whole tournament that led the Huskies to their 12th title. Fudd has decided to forego her professional career this summer and remain a Connecticut Husky for a chance to repeat in her final season. She was the difference maker in the backcourt with Paige. AZ took a lot of pressure off Page, scoring 30 points in the Elite Eight game against UCLA. Now, freshman Sarah Strong returns will also boost UConn's effort next season. Her 114 points in the tournament were the most by a freshman in Division I history. It's UConn's first title since 2016 by running away from South Carolina during a dominant second half that left no doubt which team was clearly the best. It was shocking how easily UConn handled the defending champion Gamecocks. Coach Gino Arenama, the winningest coach in Division I history, adds his 12th title to his unmatched credentials after his team shot 48% from the field while holding South Carolina to 34% shooting. Freshman sensation Sarah Strong had 24 points and 15 rebounds, and AZ Fudd also added 24 points and deservingly won the MOP, the most outstanding player of the NCAA women's tournament. Congratulations to AZ Fudd. My man Billy kept saying, Tom, we going to talk about AZ Fudd on your show? Billy, I'm talking about AZ Fudd on your. I love AZ Fudd's T-shirt. The T-shirt that her mom wore. It said, "Bud around and find out." That's very, very creative. I love it. Congratulations to Coach Gino and the UConn ladies, Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd, Billy. Okay, I covered that for you, Billy. All right. All right, guys, it's official. It's official. The Great Eight is the GOAT. In the late summer of 2005, in his final days as a teen, Alex Ovechkin arrived in Washington, D.C. for his first training camp. If you guys can remember, I'm Felix will remember this. Caps hockey was at a low point, coming off a dismal .316 point percentage performance in the 2003 and 2004 season, their worst since 1977 and 78 season. With the Caps roster swept clean of talent by the time at almost 20 years old, Ovechkin arrived on the scene. Now, just painting a picture for you, the entire NHL was scrambling for players in what turned out to be a short offseason because of the season-killing lockout, was finally settled in mid-July of 2005, on October 5th of 2005. But I'm sorry, October 5th, 2005 was Ovi's NHL debut. The Caps they basically threw a team together. If you can remember, with goalie Ole Kozik was one of the few returning players and was the de facto captain. With 24 new Capitals putting on the sweater for the first time, it was a team that they threw together. But here's the deal. April 6th, 2004 was the Capitals' first win as they won the NHL entry draft lottery and earned the right to make the first overall selection in the 2004 entry draft in Raleigh, North Carolina. Who would have thought 21 years later on the exact same date, April 6th of 2025, that same player selected first with the first overall pick would alter the hockey landscape in Washington and far beyond chasing down the great one, Wayne Gretzky. A 2-decade pursuit to become NHL's all-time goal scorer with 895 goals. At the age of 39, Gretzky's record lasted for 31 years as he was on hand to witness the history in the making. It took Wayne Gretzky, check this out, more symmetry. It took Wayne Gretzky 1,487 games to score 895 goals. Alex Ovechkin played in his 1,487th career game, and he scored his 895th goal in the same amount of games. Gretzky has been a supportive member over the years for Ovi. Ovechkin lit the lamp against the New York Islanders Sunday afternoon. Alex Ovechkin has been an unstoppable force from the moment he entered the NHL in 2005. He's a unique package of effervescent personality, dynamically physically, and an uncanny ability to shoot the puck. Today, Alex stands alone, having completed his relentless pursuit of a record most people thought was unbreakable. We on the Tom the Bomb Show and all of the DMV salute and congratulate Mr. Alex Ovechkin for his outstanding achievement. Congratulations. The big train, the big Russian train. Hey, gang, it's official. It's official. we got a couple of things we want to discuss with my main man, Felix Bassi. Felix, you there? Oh, say something, Felix. Make sure we got you in here.
Yes.
All righty, hey, Felix. We got to start off with Ovi. We got to start off with Ovi. Come on, tell us what your thoughts are with Ovi and the record and the history-making record.
First off, it's just an amazing thing to see. I was going to just answer the call with a chant CAPS, 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 caps. But no, you know what? I want to keep it professional. It's your show. But I'm definitely excited. At first, my whole concern was how does Ovechkin. The whole thing was Ovechkin versus Crosby the whole time. Then all of a sudden, it came out of nowhere. We're like, wait a second. He has a chance to break Gretzky's record. Lo and behold, he does it. So, of course, it's a very exciting time. It's an honor. And honestly, I'm just grateful that this is the person I got to grow up watching all these years.
So, that's your guy.
Absolutely.
Anything else? What did you think? I thought it was great. One of the things that I really liked about it, Felix, was how graciously Ovi handled everything, how he brought in Wayne Gretzky's family for the last week and a half. I didn't realize that he was footing all of that, but it ain't like Wayne Gretzky can't afford to do it on his own. But Ovi was so gracious, and you really got to see his personality come out. And more importantly, a lot of times when people break milestone records like this, I think of like Hank Aaron when he was breaking Babe Ruth's home run record. It was horrible for him because he was getting death threats, and even when Roger Maris broke Babe Ruth's record, the chase for it, Barry Bonds, the chase for it wasn't fun. Because people, but with this record, and Wayne Gretzky is beloved, one of the most beloved figures of all time. So everybody loves Wayne Gretzky. But I thought it was really cool how everybody was pulling for Ovi, and how gracious, and it seemed like he really enjoyed it. It wasn't hard, and I think that's why he did it so easily. What's your thoughts on that, Felix?
So I definitely want to say I'm glad you brought up Ovechkin's personality. That's something that gets swept under the rug a lot, and this is something most people don't notice. And I do often tell people not to read too far into social media, but think about this. He's a megastar. He's the biggest name in hockey. And he thinks so much like of his teammates that even if it's a fourth liner, someone on the roster you don't even know that gets released, he'll post, hey, best wishes to you on his social media. And he's a guy who doesn't use social media a lot. If you follow him online, you're not going to see a lot of activity from him. He doesn't get into arguments. He only steps out maybe once in a blue moon to commemorate an accomplishment or perhaps talk about something that's a serious issue. Like, for example, he's doing donations now for every goal he does from here on out to kids with cancer. But yes, this is a part of Ovechkin that a lot of people don't see, the type of human being he is, and how his humility. He's never been a braggadocious person. He's always been very matter of fact on the mic when it's about him, and he's someone who's not afraid to crack a joke when appropriate. If you get to listen to him mic'd up. So,
hey, a couple of things I want to go over. A couple of quick points over here. Okay, first of all, we just had the women's national championship game on Sunday, and 3.9 million people viewed the women's national championship game yesterday on TV. 1 year ago, when Caitlin Clark was playing in it, there was 11 million people watching. So yesterday, the women's game had 3.9 million watching. Last year with Caitlin Clark, they had 11 million watching. Now I bring this up because people don't realize that college football used to be way more popular than professional football. That didn't change until Red Grange from the University of Illinois graduated from Illinois and went to play for the Chicago Bears. And that's when NFL football started to get big, when the big star came from college, Red Grange from Illinois, to play for the Chicago Bears. And I mention that because women's college basketball is actually bigger than WNBA basketball. Right. WNBA basketball lost $40 million last year. $40 million. So now The WNBA has the golden goose in Caitlin Clark, now in the WNBA, and it seems like she's still getting hate from the other, I don't know, WNBA community. I don't get it. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I could go so many different angles with this one, and I'm glad that you did bring it up. Yes, people. So I'm just going to speak really briefly on this. So yes, sports leagues have a chance of building up and getting momentum. So I do think the WNBA can do the same, and I definitely think that's where we'll see it in a few years. But going back to your question, because I want to be direct here, with regards to Caitlin Clark, I have to address this very carefully. But unfortunately, you have some people who may be very well-meaning
Mm-hmm.
that make the mistake of bringing certain. How do I put this? And again, I have to word this very gingerly here. You have some people who are well-meaning who might not watch sports that are commentating as outsiders because they heard a source say something and they're bringing in socio-political matters into sports. Now, here's the thing. I'm someone who's actually not 100% against that when it's important, but here's the thing. Caitlin Clark didn't really do anything. And the irony is that for the people I'm talking about here, yes, I have to go there. And this is something I wouldn't normally touch with a 10-foot pole, but it's been going on for too long. Caitlin Clark is actually on the side of the people who are talking about her. And I feel that, again, I like their general ideas, but I think it's taking it too far when you're bringing an innocent person who's actually on your side in sports with this. Now, I do agree with some points people make. They do say, yeah, if Caitlin Clark, she talks a little bit of trash, which is normal. It's healthy. It's part of sports. But they're saying if Angel Reese does the same thing, it's met with more scrutiny. I'll agree with that point, but to your point, I feel like there's some people who are going a little overboard with hypervigilance, and it's translating. It is translating into it becoming cheap attacks of Caitlin Clark, who's someone who does not deserve it at all. So, yeah.
Let me just say this, and I want you guys to understand this. I need you guys to understand who Caitlin Clark is. Caitlin Clark is Tiger Woods.
Yes.
Now, Tiger Woods can no longer play professional golf because he can't walk four rounds. Since Tiger Woods has left the PGA Golf is not the same. Tiger Woods moves the needle, and he's to the point where he can no longer play. Caitlin Clark is in the prime of her career right now. What is the saying? High tide rises all boats. Man, if they mess this up, they have the golden goose. The golden goose has went from women's college basketball now to the WNBA. And keep in mind, like I said, last year, just this past season, the WNBA lost $40 million. And I think Angel Reese is talking about they want to be paid like the NBA players. That's just not realistic. That's just not
Right.
realistic.
And the thing is, I can understand where she's coming from. While I do agree that women's basketball players undervalued, you can make an argument that, yeah, they could get more. The thing with being paid in money, it's based on how much money is available. Now, unfortunately,
supply and demand.
Exactly. The WNBA is not in at a position yet where they can afford to pay the same rates as the NBA. But I hope that one day they are. I'm completely on their side, 100%. But there's a certain way that the market flows. There's a certain way that money is supplied. So realistically speaking, I'm on their side. Make no mistake. I don't want anyone to twist my words, but that's just your circumstances right now.
Somebody need to explain that Angel Reese what a widget is. Hey, look, I got to ask you this. Moving on, I got to ask you this, Felix. Besides being on the Tom the Bomb Show and hosting the Washington Sports Den, you actually have an actual real job. If you go to work on Monday and you tell your boss to F off, what do you think's going to happen to you?
Let's just say I wouldn't have to worry about clocking into work ever.
So I bring that up because I got to talk about Ja Morant. We got to talk about Ja Morant because, we know that Ja Morant has had some issues with gun things in the past. And then he does this gun gesture, and the commissioner calls him in and tells him not to do that. And then the very next game, 4 minutes into the game, he does the gun gesture again. So the NBA fines him $75,000. Now, I thought That was light. I would have done more than that. But they fined him $75,000. But today he's complaining that you fined him more than a guy that was accused of beating his spouse. That's totally irrelevant. I mean, what's like if you go and tell your boss, like we said, to F off, you're not going to have a job the next day. So if your boss just fined you after you told him that, I think that would be very generous on your bosses. But what's your thoughts on that, Felix?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not saying what John Morant is doing is smart at all. Like that should be a preference. But at the same time, there are layers to this. Okay, so I understand why John Morant actually spoke up against this. One, a guy did the gun thing, and it wasn't that he was fined more than him. The other guy wasn't fined at all. That's really the issue. They did the exact same thing. One person was fined, the other wasn't. And you could take it a step further. You look at who he is, who the other person is. Then also on top of it, you look at the fact that he made a valid point. John Morant, now, I'm not saying it's smart. I don't like the fact that people think it's cool to brandish weapons. I don't think it's cool that we're encouraging a violent culture. Like, yeah, it's cool to harm people or show that you're capable of harming people. And it's something that, unfortunately, it's pushed on young men. It's not just in subtle ways like through music anymore. There's a whole, I don't even want to say the name of the community because I don't want to guide people there or get you demonetized. But there's a whole thing on YouTube right now that's almost explicitly telling men it's natural for you to, behave a certain way. It's like, no, this is a Christian, you automatically know it's wrong. But I don't want to get too far off, but going back to it, he did make a valid point. Like what he did, he brandished a weapon. Did he say he was going to harm someone with it? No. Do I think he violated the terms of his NBA contract? Yes. But here's my thing. Why is it that we're more angry at how he appears, right? There's something called respectability politics. We're more angry at how he's presenting himself than at people who are actually doing violent things such as spousal abuse. And unfortunately, I think on a deeper level in society, it's spousal abuse, misogyny, or, people doing stuff that's, wrong within parameters of a marriage. And this is stuff that even goes both ways. I feel like it's so socially acceptable that we're okay with that. But a guy, let's just say he never even owned a gun. A guy just doing a gun thing, is a joke. That's more offensive to them. So that's just my take on it.
Okay, Felix, let's wrap up with these last 2 points. Two points. First of all, your NFC East now has all black starting quarterbacks in the NFC East.
Yes.
And give us your take on tonight's championship game. Who do you like, Florida or Houston?
Florida or Houston? I usually don't like doing this, but I'm going to go against your pick. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think Houston might be able to take Florida.
Okay. Absolutely. They have a chance. Absolutely. And what's your thought on the NFC East that's now turning back into the NFC Beast?
Absolutely love it. That's just the way I always understood football. Even in a year in which every team wasn't exactly elite, we were always the most competitive division in football. Even when you had the last place team, that last place team was 8-8, or even if it was a 6-10 team, that was a 6-10 team. One of those 6 games was a blowout win. So I just like to see this at the NFC East. I think you also mentioned all black quarterbacks.
That was the question. Yes. Dak, JD5, Jalen Hurts, and now Russ.
Yes, I also like to see this because, it's the progression of football in real time. At first, it was to a point where people flat out explicitly said they didn't want to hire black quarterbacks because of stereotypes regarding ability to play the position. Then gradually over time, you saw people shatter that. It was a gradual progression. Doug Williams, you had people before him, but Doug Williams set the mark. You had, even growing up, I dare say I was lucky to see people like McNabb, Vic, Culpepper, so on and so forth. And I'm just glad to see how far we've come. And again, I don't mind bringing, for example, that's a perfect example right there. I don't mind talking about race in sports when it actually makes sense, like for that example. So I really just love to see this sort of progress.
You want to jump on the poll question? Who do you like taking the last shot? Right before we go to our trivia, we're going to close out with trivia. Who do you like taking the last shot on the poll question?
MJ.
MJ. He's so smart. All right, let's get to our trivia, gang. Our trivia question for the day was what team has the most wins in the NCAA tournament? And the answer to the question is the University of North Carolina, UNC. I think I can't hardly say. I think I got 134 wins, and there's your list following them up. All righty. Hey, gang. That's. You have anything else? Okay. Hey, gang. That's our show for today. I'm checking with my beautiful producer, Dr. Lauren. Okay. Hey, gang. That's our show for today. Don't forget to like us and subscribe on YouTube, and please do us a favor and hit that like bell, please. If you're enjoying the content and you'd like to bless our ministry, you can sow into the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk by CashApp at $TomTheBombSportsTalk. And don't forget to check out our website at www.TomTheBombSports.com. And you can also hit us on email at info@TomTheBombSports.com. Hey, gang, for a dynamic, in-depth sports analysis and highlights for sports in the DMV and more, check out the Washington Sports Den on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on WBGR with my main man, Mr. Felix Bassi. His future's so bright, he got to wear shades. Hey, gang, man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you. We sure do thank you for spending your time with us. We do not take that for granted. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you where there won't be room enough to contain it. As you live off the overflow and you step into the realm of grace. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not a Thursday, right, Lori?
Right.
Just for you. Just for you. If it just had been you, he still would have sent Jesus just for you. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Listen, may God bless you guys. You guys have a good evening. God bless you. Tom the Bomb and Lori out. Thanks, Felix. Have a good evening.
You too.
Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
Well, I'm coming out with a word in my mouth, filled with excitement to say what it's all about. For a long time, I've held this water in, let the floodgates open, let the miracles begin. I've prayed, and I've gone back 7 times, look again, cause the miracles are mine, stir the water. I'm about to step in like the pool of Bethesda, let the healing begin.
Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
It took a minute to get my composure right. For years it seems like I've been fighting for my life. Confusing times when my days resemble nights. But now this eagle is about to take flight and soar out of darkness to its revelation light. Though the waves are rough, I step out my comfort zone to walk on water, cause I know I'm not alone. God's got my back and reminds me I'm his own. His words are sweet in my mouth, they taste like a honeycomb. And faith has opened up my eyes. I've been through the fire, tested and tried. As I study God's word, I finally realize that my purpose I have to visualize, to bring the unseen from the realm of under night until I walk into the fullness of a purpose-filled life. Cause I'm light. Yes, I am light, and I shine bright. I am an investment of the Lord Jesus Christ. Not only am I light, I am salt. When I enter in, I add flavor to it all. I bring truth, there's no dispute. Jesus is the vine, and in him I take root. I am the head, and not the tail. I'm an overcomer made free to prevail. A new design, a special kind. Ambassador followed by wonders and signs. I am light, and I give sight, leading lost souls to a glorious light. I am light.
Daughter of mine, this is your time.